We're there.
Yes, we are live. We managed. Thank you to StreamYard, guys. Thank you for being here at our People Helping People series and wonderful, successful women entrepreneurs. Today we have is our second interview with the amazing Lynda Lippin from New York City, who is going to tell us everything about a little bit about her self, her past, and her experience in Pilates. Lynda, welcome.
Thank you, Monica. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good, good. So, you know, I've been teaching Pilates to clients for over 30 years. And I've been practicing Pilates personally on my own body for about 33 years or so.
Wow.
And I have found that Pilates tends to appeal and be useful for a wide variety of people. Okay, so whether, you know, I started Pilates as a young undergraduate student when I was in college who just wanted a good way to exercise that didn't make my knees hurt and my back hurt. And I found it and I loved it. I found for my clients that, you know, I've worked with everybody from 16-year-old, you know, student athletes and dancers whose parents brought them in to get stronger and again, feel better, help their technique, kind of fine tune their movement. But I also work with 80-year-olds with osteoporosis, scoliosis, arthritis, joint replacements, and all of those things to really just help them feel better and get stronger. So, you know, when Joseph Pilates developed contrology, as he called it, way back around the First World War and between the wars, he partly wanted an exercise method that was a little bit easier on the joints, right? And that would help people start to be able to breathe better and move better and use their muscles. And so because he had such a focus on breathing better, Joseph Pilates was actually asthmatic as a child.
Really? Right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he had a hard time breathing. So he was very interested in the mechanics of breathing. And in working with the breath, that got him started really working on strengthening what we call now the core, right? The core strength. And he called it the powerhouse. And for us in Pilates, the powerhouse is everything. So the powerhouse involves your abdominal muscles, your back muscles, your glutes, your diaphragm, your pelvic floor, you know, your inner thighs, your lowest abdominals, all of those muscles that kind of wrap around your body and really help assist breathing. Because for him, it was like, if you can get the center of the body really strong and get that core really strong, that powerhouse, and be able to really breathe well, then your chances of moving properly everywhere else will be much higher.
Wow.
And that's really kind of where he started. So it was, you know, working with, and he worked with a lot of extremely deconditioned people. So it's like he started, you know, developing mat work when he was interned as an enemy alien during the First World War by the British on the Isle of Man. And according to his own story, he started to kind of look at the stray animals kind of around the camp and saw how they were, you know, regardless of what was going on in the world, they were getting up and they were stretching and they were doing their things. And he realized that if anything was going to start to kill people in the internment camp, it was going to be lack of movement, lack of breathing, lack of any kind of getting rid of toxins in the body, lack of sweat, lack of all of that. Yeah. So he started, for whoever wanted to work with him, he just started teaching kind of daily classes. Developed, a series of exercises that you could do in a relatively small space, that you could do, standing, that you could do lying down, that you could literally just do wherever it is that you happen to be.
Now, is it connected to stretching? I mean, when you stretch, is it well, it has its roots there too.
Both, right? There's a sense in which muscles, the way Joseph Pilates looked at muscles is he believed that they needed to be able to fully engage both in a fully stretched way and in a fully concentrically contracted way, right? And so for him, every muscle around a joint needed to be ready and primed for whatever you could ask it to do, which means that your muscles need to be able to stretch. They also need to be able to tighten, right? So what I find is that I have a lot of clients coming in who just feel like they're just so tight and they always need to stretch. And when I hear that, when I hear a client say to me, but that always feels tight and like it needs to stretch, that lets me know that that muscle is actually weak, okay? Because a strong muscle is able to both stretch and contract as needed by a specific task. So if your muscle is always constantly tight,
it doesn't, no, yeah.
That means it's a little weak. If your muscle is constantly too loose, that means it's a little weak. And culturally, we tend to always associate tightness with strength, which is kind of interesting in that very, but what we know now is, and we should all realize this. I mean, I currently live in a building that's 76 stories tall.
Wow.
Okay. I live on the 22nd floor. And I'm on one of the first floors where the building moves, right? Because as we know, skyscrapers and suspension bridges need to be able to move in high winds, right? Otherwise they break. I think everyone's seen the video of one of the first bridges that was built without being able to move, and it broke in the middle of the big.
Yeah, it needs to be flexible. Yes. Yes.
So we know that we need to be able to move, we need to be flexible, we need to be both strong and mobile. And so what Pilates does is try to teach all of that. So there's places where you're doing concentric work, there's places where you're doing eccentric strengthening work, there's places where you're just isometrically tightening your muscles and holding them, right? But all of Pilates involves a good sense of keeping the spine either moving or steady depending on the exercise, right? So we work on a lot of stability and proper mobility. And that's why it actually works so well now. Like Joseph Pilates himself had a really good innate understanding of what the body needed to do. And there are a few things where we know now, like that the spine is supposed to have curves. He believed that the human spine was a little flatter. But it doesn't affect the work. Do you know what I mean? Like whatever his underlying belief was about the spine, the fact is that we're still doing Pilates like 100 years later, and it still works.
Now, what do you offer? And I'm really curious. I mean, do you have some examples or of what you offer, especially now online, to people? How do you do your classes online?
So the way I do my classes online now is literally via Zoom. So I teach both private classes and some group classes, and I teach some of my private or some of my classes within the Learn It Live Pilates studio as well. And essentially, I just need to be able to see the client. So within Pilates, even when you do Pilates in a studio, most of the time the teacher is not doing it with you. right? We learn how to teach verbally. And Pilates, again, is centered enough in proper body mechanics that it's pretty easy to talk through the exercises verbally. With my clients online, I simply have them, have their mat. Sometimes we have small hand weights. There are small pieces of Pilates apparatus that people can buy, the magic circle or the Pilates ring. There are a few things people can use at home that can mimic a little bit of the Pilates equipment work with using TheraBands or exercise tubing or a TRX or, hand weights, things like that. But all of my clients get these really solid workouts. And what's interesting is that, so one of my clients is a retired teacher here in New York, and she used to see me in the studio, but we've been working online 3 times a week since this thing started. And she, almost every other session, will tell me that she got an email from the National Institute of Health or from the Osteoporosis organization people, because she has osteoporosis, with the best exercises to do. And inevitably, we're already doing them because they're built into the Pilates system, right? So the system is very easy to modify. It's very easy to add variations to. It has, built-in strength, built-in flexibility work, built-in a little bit of, it's more anaerobic than aerobic Pilates. It's more on the strength training side than it is on the aerobic exercise side. Although, when you see old videos of Joseph Pilates teaching, he used to teach a whole lot of kind of the standard mobility drills that we might do before any workout. Standing work and squats, high knee runs, jogging, butt kicks,
jumping jacks. Jumping jacks. Yeah, you can get tired doing those.
Punches, that whole lunges with boxing, the whole thing. And you also see some of that even within the apparatus work. So realistically, the apparatus simply adds springs, right? And the springs help with both resistance and assistance, right? Because sometimes you're pushing against them, sometimes they're helping to pull you, so there's a difference there. However, so much of it can again be done using now bands instead of a spring. So I will often, just have my in-home clients get a little assortment of hand weights, get a little assortment of strength of bands. And then there's tons and tons and tons that they can do at home, both standing, sitting, kneeling. We work in all planes of motion, and it's a full body workout.
Wow. Now, how long does a workout last usually? 45 minutes, an hour? What's the minimum?
So it's usually anywhere between 30 minutes and 60 minutes. Yeah, private sessions, I usually time at 55 minutes, same as I did in the studio. But usually classes are between 30 and 45 minutes.
And then people should do this every day. Once they learn, the idea is that you teach them. The thing is that many people, they do it once, twice, and then they don't do it anymore. And they have to come to you to be reminded.
Right. But, and that, at the end of the day, what I've said to my clients is, there are folks who, let's put it this way, nobody needs a personal trainer. Okay. We know this. I know this. All right. We know that it's a buy for somebody who wants to learn something well, wants to deal with an issue in their body, whether it's pain or osteoporosis or diastasis recti after having a baby or, whatever it is. And that you want to get that problem fixed faster and easier than you could if you kept doing it on your own, right? And that's what you're paying for. At the end of the day, you can learn the Pilates mat series. You can learn how to do that easily online. There's a lot of good YouTube channels that teach that. I have some free exercise videos on my YouTube channel. There's plenty of websites that outline all of the exercises and, you know, give you a written description. Joseph Pilates' first book, Return to Life, which is available on Amazon, has the entire mat series in it with his instructions.
Yeah, it's just the direction.
It's very easy to find it, but finding the direction, finding the modification.
Expert. I mean, the people who know, and you, for example, you among many people out there, you know, you have more experience than most people. So that's
right.
That's
so
what you pay for, really. You know, experience.
Right. It's finding that you're doing it well. It's finding that you're doing the modifications that are appropriate to you, because there are a lot of the Pilates exercises done in the standard way that are bad for people with low bone density, that can make things worse. That if you have a joint replacement or a hip replacement, you might need to work around it, right? But Pilates teachers, I also always remind Pilates teachers of this. We're not all medical professionals, right? Like, I'm not a licensed physical therapist. However, I can work with a licensed physical therapist who says this person needs X, Y, and Z, needs to avoid X, Y, and Z. We can easily do that within a Pilates program. So it's turned out to be extraordinarily well suited, actually, for online work. And especially once I'm going to talk for a second about the difference between classical Pilates teachers and more contemporary Pilates teachers.
Oh, yes, okay? Exactly.
Because it's just, and I'm not making a value judgment on either one, but in the marketplace, I think it's good to know the difference, okay? So Joseph Pilates had about 7 of his students who went on to teach contrology, right? Or the Pilates method. And maybe 20 years ago, one of his students, Romana Krizanovska, who is who classical Pilates teachers take their learning from, she and a New York-based physical therapist decided to start a lawsuit and trademark the name Pilates.
Oh, wow.
Joseph Pilates had done a lot, but he had never trademarked his name and the work because he wanted everybody to do it. You know what I mean? So he never went there. So all of a sudden it was like an opportunity, right? Somebody comes in and they're like, oh, trademark sitting there, no one's using it. Or, you know, he had trademarked it, but never dealt with the trademark. And he was like, said, great, I'm going to buy it. Bought it, started shooting out cease and desist letters to every Pilates teacher that was, you know, around, going, hey, I own the trademark now. If you want to continue teaching Pilates, you need to retrain with us and learn the method.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Romana. So it was a little crazy. And so if you look at old Pilates advertising, you'll see a lot of exercises based on the work of Joseph Pilates. Wow. Using the word Pilates in the historical context, you know, you'll see that weird language, because none of us could say we taught Pilates unless we paid him. That whole thing was overturned in a class action lawsuit, around 2000, and we've, you know, all been moving forward since then. So classical Pilates teachers tend to teach the work as Joe taught it, or at least, you know, Romana's passing on of that, using the equipment made by the same equipment manufacturer Joe used, using the same springs, you know, using all of that.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Now, out of this wash, of course, came the fact that there is no limitation on using the word Pilates. So people have now expanded on the work, right? They've done more contemporary iterations. They've changed the apparatus. Now you can get, reformers that have 5 springs instead of 4 springs, that have different strength springs instead of all the same strength, that have adjustable length straps, that, with risers and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
And which can be useful. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to say that can't be useful, but it's different, right? So if you're looking to kind of do the Pilates that
the traditional way,
self-taught, you're looking more at a classical Pilates teacher. We call ourselves classical Pilates teachers. If you're looking more at not caring about that per se,
then you can go
wanting to do some interested hybrid work, there's yoga lattes, there's all kinds of stuff out there right now. Then you can look more at a contemporary, teacher. Either way, you want to look for somebody that's certified, and pretty much everyone who's certified says they're certified. You want to make sure that the person is insured. Right? There are all these things, right? Make sure that your person is insured and certified at the base. But also, most Pilates teachers, like I offer free 15-minute consultations by phone or Zoom, so that if people want to ask me more about my background and what I can do for them, I can. And I say, you steer clear from teachers who promise you that they're just going to totally fix you or cure you, because that's not what we do. A funny story is that I have a client who I work with who originally came to me through doing a free phone consultation off my website, and she had a pretty severe diastasis recti after having 2 kids. And this had been going on for a number of years, and she had started exercising again, and she was still having, issues, some back pain, some leaking, the things that you have with a diastasis. So she calls me up. She's a lawyer here in New York, and she basically says to me, so can you cure my diastasis with Pilates? And I was like, absolutely not. I cannot do that. What I can do is
help you.
Yeah. What I can do is help you.
Yeah.
The only thing that's going to fix your diastasis is surgery, which, at least U.S. health insurance does not cover. So I said, but what I can do is teach you how to use all of the rest of your muscles to really get things pulled in and up so that your back feels better and you're able to do all the stuff you want to do without leaking or your back hurting. And
improving your health overall.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know what she said to me? She said, I'm making an appointment with you, Lynda, because you are the first person I've spoken to about this who was honest enough to say, no, I can't fix it, but I can help you function better with it and around it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what was needed. And I'm going to tell you that 6 months later, she went to a movie premiere in a mummy dress.
Wow. And she was fine.
Fine.
Wow. No, it's amazing.
Fine. But
it's
again,
amazing.
It's look for the folks who are not making promises they can't keep. Look for the folks who have been doing it for a while. Look for testimonials. Look for people who are willing to give you some stuff for free. Like I always say to people, go on my YouTube, look at my videos. It'll give you a sense of how I teach, how I talk, how I approach things. Look at testimonials, look at all of these things. And that's how you pick who you're going to work with.
Absolutely, Lynda, and everything is going to be on the post below, and hopefully,
Great.
People are going to find you. So the best way to find you is through your website?
The best way to find me is through my website. So we will leave a link to the website.
Yes.
I'll also leave a link, to my social media. My Facebook page is a good place to get in touch with me as well. Instagram, I've got a book now button. So even for the free consults, you can just, hit that. on my website, on Instagram, on
I know you're all over. You're all over social media. You're amazing,
I'm all
Lynda.
over. And if it's something that I can't help with, chances are I know somebody who can.
Perfect, Lynda.
And I'm always happy to share the love. So,
well, listen, Lynda, we usually went a little bit over because everything is so interesting, and every time I talk to you, I find out something new, and I didn't know about this class action. So I want to keep talking, and we'll meet again soon, because you always entertain and come up with the wonderful stories. But I wish you all the best. And thank you for doing this, because you are helping the world be a better place, because by making people feel better, the world is a better place.
It's better, definitely.
So thank you, Lynda. Thank you, everyone. And until next time, I say goodbye, but it's only for now. Thank you again, Lynda, and we see you soon.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.